This is Rudkowski of WeAreChange.org, driving around some hippy-dippy bohemian villages near Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, and of course I'm joined by Jeff Berwick, the dollar vigilante, and in this video we want to talk about the general concept that you should be just as particular about what you eat, the same as what you think, and also about how a lot of the hippy-dippy self-help community is usually filled with some hooey. Well, I think the general topic that we're going to be discussing here is well-being. Trying to be like the best physical and spiritual version of yourself, which a lot of people try to achieve through a lot of crazy things. And you've tried pretty much all the crazy things out there, whether it's ibogaine, ayahuasca, combo, ozone, coffee enemas, vitamins, supplements. You're pretty much like a smorgasbord of like every single thing all at once. We're here in Mexico, coming off from another hippie town doing more medical stuff where you just had stem cells done. But I think it would be interesting to talk about your process and like some of the stuff you've done and some of the effects you've seen and why you're on this totally different pathway than when I first got to know you, when we were totally different human beings, because there's definitely a transformation here that happened with you, and I don't know, it would be interesting to hear about the path and hear about all the different things you've been taking.
Yeah, well, I started, I was like really depressed when a couple years ago, and you saw that, and just never happy, and I was drinking quite a bit, and I had a bunch of problems, business problems and all that, and it got really bad to the point where it's basically almost suicidal. And you know, having kids and a family and all that kind of stuff, I was like, well, I should try to fix myself or figure out a way out of this. And I really had no idea what to even do. All the stuff that we've been talking about and all the stuff I've done over the last few years, I didn't know about any of this before. And one of the first ones that really came to me, the word ayahuasca just kept coming up a couple years ago, and I was like, this keeps popping up, maybe I should look into it. So I went to Monterrey, Mexico, and did it, and it gave me this really great epiphany at the very end of it, and basically this angelic voice came in and said, let others help you. And I'd not realized till that point, and actually it took me months afterwards to fully realize it, but I was always pushing away. All the people I knew would be like trying to help, and I'd push them away. I'm like, you know, I've got to fix these problems on my own, sort of thing. Did ayahuasca again, had another great epiphany. Then I kind of slid back, and I was like, I got to do something even more crazy. So I looked up the craziest psychedelic in the world, ibogaine, and I did it as hardcore as you could possibly do it, a couple of days straight, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done. But when it was done, I was really clear, and I felt good, and the depression was gone for a period of time, and that enabled me to start to think, okay, what else can I start to fix here so I can start to at least feel better? And a lot of them were physical things, just basic, you know, diet, exercise, intermittent fasting. Fasting was huge for me.
Yeah.
And then I've done so many things since, of course, and now I've been just trying to do a lot of the physical stuff still. So did stem cells today, and something called, I think it's called transfer factors, something like that.
Yeah.
Transfer factors. It's actually from crocodiles. They apparently they're the only animal or something like that has like, they're immune to everything, and they're immune to like 40 things basically. And so you can take it from the crocodile and put it into you, and then you become immune to those things. It's not like vaccines. It's the exact opposite. It's actually healthy. And so I did the stem cells, the transfer factors. Did something else. What are the vials I got? The DMAO or something?
Oh, DMSO.
DMSO. That's apparently really good for immune-related stuff. And I also did, I just started today microdosing iboga.
Yeah, which I may do too for, you know, other stuff that I'm dealing with here, because I came down here in a panic and rush because of the medical system in the United States, which is a very screwed up medical system. But before we get into the whole medical industry and how corrupt it is and how it puts fear and all this other low vibrational kind of frequencies in you and terrifies you and just throws pills at you that ultimately make the situation a lot worse. What I find very interesting is when I first met you, you were off just drinking, like, no exaggeration, like 40 Red Bull vodkas at like one sitting, and then we would still go out on top of that. And you were going through your stuff, and I remember being like, yeah, man, stop worrying about it. You know, go with it. Stop worrying so much. Just kind of flow with it. Flow with life. Don't take things too seriously. And then this is why, like, we hang out so much, and I think, you know, I consider you like one of my best friends, is mainly because, you know, that's how I initially met you, but then I fell off. I became worried about stuff, stressed about stuff, having massive anxiety about stupid stuff, creating my own kind of conscious and reality with these very negative thought loops and these patterns that would just keep going on and on and on. And then you, like, nudge me, you're like, hey, dumbass, do you remember what you told me before? And then you're taking it to another level, and you're progressing even far beyond than I ever kind of went to. And you taught me some other stuff that I never even knew about, you know, just letting things go, and ultimately how your thoughts become your reality, because your thoughts become your words, your actions, your habits, your values, and ultimately your destiny. And I know this is often the realm of hippy-dippy stuff, but there has never, I don't think there's ever been a time that either I'm not effed up or you're not effed up. It's either I'm effed up and he's doing great, or I'm doing great and he's effed up, and then we're helping each other out continuously trying to get there. I mean, just 2 weeks ago in Los Angeles, what was it? 2 weeks ago in Los Angeles, Jeff Berwick was on the tarmac, drunk, doing other substances, with SWAT coming onto him because he missed his flight, and he just ran onto the tarmac, ended up with no pants somehow. And then I'm at the hotel the next day, like, here, have my pants, like, it's okay, it'll be fine, you know, deal with your wife this way, talk to her, you know, open your heart up and work out a deal that works out for the best of you, and open up the communications, and you know, follow through through an easier path. 2 weeks passed. I'm going through my medical situation where I'm freaking out. The doctors totally scared the crap out of me. I'm in a low vibration, fearing that I have all these other diseases and all these horrible things. I got all these blood tests. My insurance cuts off. I'm losing thousands of dollars paying for medical stuff that I didn't even need because of all this fear and panic on all this pointless medicine. And it was really natural remedies that have helped me progress and become better. And Jeff being like, dude, what are you doing? Come down to Mexico. I'm getting stem cells done at this amazing clinic here at the clinic, and we're going to be doing other stuff for my health as well. And Jeff's like, you created a lot of the stress and a lot of the worries, and he's absolutely right. And I'm creating my own kind of reality hell. And Jeff's slapping me up again, being like, dude, just chill out.
Yeah, and as he knows, almost just arriving here in Mexico, you just feel better already. He's got the sun, and it's so laid back and so nice, and good food, and you know, just that from the get-go, and being on the beach and going for a swim, that stuff helps tremendously.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, as soon as I landed here, just ran to the beach, started swimming, and I felt so much better automatically. And all these doctors were even afraid to touch me because I just came back from Africa, and I told them, yeah, I was in Somalia, I was in Zimbabwe, I was eating camel, I was doing all this other crazy stuff. They're literally putting on the masks. So as soon as they hear that, the gloves standing away from me. I had styes in my eyeball, 4 styes in my eyeball. My whole eyeball was closed off. The doctors are giving me steroids, Cipro, and I'm like, this doesn't sound right. I go out with a friend. My friend's like, dude, you know, I'm like bumping into things, and she was like, dude, you just have styes in your eyeballs. We got chamomile tea there, put it on my eyeball, automatically all the swelling went down, the pus started finally coming out of my eyeball, and I started feeling a lot better because I was in tremendous pain for 4 days with the doctors scaring the crap out of me, telling me I had some weird African infection or that I may die from, and all these other negative thought loops, waiting for blood results to come back, freaking out, like, what the hell is going on with me? And every time I would blink, it was just like somebody stabbing me in the eyeball. It was like extremely painful that I went through. But yeah, and I just created my own hell, worrying about it.
Yeah, and that's what happens, and you can know all this stuff that we know now. And you were like, you mentioned, you basically were one of the people who taught me this stuff. So 2 years ago, we'd be at Bilderberg, I'd be drinking a lot, I'd be like, oh, my wife's got cancer, I'm just got bankrupted because I got scammed, and 10 other problems, and you'd always be like, don't worry, everything's gonna be okay. But it's really hard when you're in the moment. as good as you know this stuff, like you just found out, because you know this stuff, but you can get scared, and that's actually the whole point of the U.S. medical industry, is to scare you and make you sick and keep you sick. So don't ever go to doctors, really, unless like, some sort of, you have a car accident or something. But like, if you've got, you're not feeling well, the last place you should go is a doctor. They will make you feel worse. Like you said, like they had him in like a sequestered room, and they're all looking at him with like robots and stuff. Like, he's got something crazy. It was basically nothing, but like they freak you out. They send you to go get your thousands of dollars worth of tests, and then he came down here, and I saw what the doctor said here. He just looked at you and went, "You're totally fine." And you're like, "Yeah, I'm feeling totally fine now." It's like, yeah, because you got out of that.
Yeah.
You're almost causing it yourself, and you really do. Most people actually cause their own illness for the most part, especially by the worry.
Yeah, stress is the biggest killer. It's the one that creates the most kind of diseases within you. Even if you look at a lot of people who have cancer, usually what precipitated that cancer, usually what happened before, was a very traumatic event in that person's life, whether it's a death or an extreme accident or a major breakup. And a lot of the worrying and a lot of the stressing destroys your body and destroys your immune system, because again, your thoughts are ultimately the creation of your own reality. And I know it sounds hippie-ish, but there's been a lot of medical studies, a lot of scientific studies proving just that even having that positive thought has a huge effect, whether it's on sales, whether it's on productivity, whether it's on doing good. But I think one of the major things that we could take from this conversation is that there's never a perfect human being. There's never a perfect expert. There's never someone who is always okay all the time. It's virtually impossible. We all have these different waves, and then I'm always grateful for having friends like Jeff that could be like, "Hey, a dumbass, stop in that negative thought pattern, stop in that negative thought loop, because ultimately it's killing you, it's stressing you, and taking away from this beautiful gift that we have that is called life." So grateful for friends like Jeff who are on the right track. You're always kind of the example of the 5 closest people you surround yourself with. So it's also an up and down thing as well, because you have your moments as well. Just two weeks ago, a couple days ago, I had my moments, but know that nothing is perfect, no one is perfect, but setting yourself on the right trajectory and having good people around you will ultimately make the difference from getting through things and not being able to suffer as much as so many people suffer. But I think almost everyone is going through so many different things. So even with therapies, even with certain supplements and certain things, all of our bodies are so different. There's never a clear answer for anyone. So those are the 2 big takeaways that I take from just hanging out with you. Ultimately, with supplements, you got to know your own body. You got to figure that out. You got to surround yourself with good people. You got to have a positive positive thought enforcement to have a good life, and know that no one is 100% good. No one could really take care of you other than you yourself.
Yeah, and another thing is that, like I said before, if you can know all this stuff, but life always will give you something that will it will get you. It will throw you off. So you got thrown off this week. I got thrown off a few weeks ago. And as much as we know this stuff, you can forget, because you're actually living in that feeling, that moment. And so there's nothing that you can prepare you for it, because you don't even know what that moment's going to be. But when it happens, that's also why it's good to have good people around who can remind you when you're in that moment, hey, take a step, take a breath, relax, remember all these things, do all these things, do some meditation, do some, don't stress out about stuff. And but everyone goes through them, absolutely. That's what really the whole journey of life is learning through these processes.
Yeah, and there's no need to hate other people and give your kind of energy to them, because we're all going through something, whether it's health issues, whether it's family issues, and especially with psychological issues, which just living my life and meeting a lot of people and being very social and traveling all over the place, virtually every single person has trauma from their childhood that they haven't dealt with properly, which I think is extremely key. I know you're delving into that with some of the things that you went through as a child. I'm delving into it as well, because if you really want to be a human being that doesn't have any kind of fear or insecurity or lack of, and living in a place where you hate other people or you judge other people, a lot of that stuff comes from internal wounds and internal pain. And that's why I find it interesting that also a lot of people who are anti-gay, who are anti-homophobic. A lot of the bigger politicians, a lot of them have been caught with illegal male prostitutes. That ultimately is just a reflection of their kind of deeper psychological issues that they never dealt with properly and don't really live a good, clear kind of life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, almost everyone's got their own issues. You don't realize what your issues are. You can't, because you're living in it, and plus a lot of it's in your subconscious that you can't access. And so I do some hypnotherapy. I'm going for like a full week of hypnotherapy soon to get out a lot of the stuff that's actually in your subconscious. So yeah, most people are acting out on things that are actually just in their brain from some previous trauma, whatever it may have been, that they don't even know, and they don't know why they're acting that way. But you know, trying to begin to look at yourself and to try to understand why you're doing what you do. That's basically what I've been doing the last couple of years. Before that, I didn't really question what I was doing. I was like, well, this is what I do. I go out and I drink vodka Red Bulls, we have fun. But it's like, why do I do that? And then when you start to look at it, why am I doing that? And you start going deeper and deeper, and it's basically a process that never ends, as far as I can tell, because once you think you got one thing figured out, then there's a lot more things to figure out. But you know, that's really the process, is to begin just looking at yourself. I think everyone out there looks at everyone else and criticizes them. It's like, well, start with yourself, because I can guarantee you, I don't think there's anyone out there who's perfect, as you pointed out.
Yeah, if you want to make the world a better place, it begins with you living a better life, a more cohesive life, a life that is not filled with hate, a life that is filled with productivity and building and growing, which is supposed to be the essence of our existence on this human planet, instead of destruction. And I think if you look at the world all around, there's a lot of destruction going on. There's a lot of war going on. It's important to address those issues, but not to get overcome by them, but to fix them. And it starts with you internally, because if someone's telling you do this and this and do this and this, they're full of crap. All these health gurus, all these other people, a lot of them are just ultimately full of crap and living a life that is not what they profess to be. But yeah, the subconscious stuff is extremely important. I'm going to start doing hypnotherapy for other stuff as well, and it really is kind of the key programming to make everything better, by beginning with yourself. And it's that simple, and it sounds hippie and it sounds whatever, but I think it's an important message that you guys need to hear as we're going to the airport. Jeff is leaving, and I'm going to stay with in the hippie village, and then get myself right, and most importantly get my mind frame and my mentality right to where it was before, because I definitely fell off the track to say the least within the last few days. Anything else you want to say, Jeff?
Nope, that's it. I gotta catch a flight, but I would hang out in Mexico for a while if I was you. It's a lot better here.
Definitely the plan. Love you guys. Hope you found this video informative or some kind of use. If you did, share it with your friends and family members. We're here at the airport. I really appreciate all of you amazing human beings for being a part of this journey with me. It's an up and down journey. No one's perfect, but we could always get a little bit better. Love you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more.